Hey folks, ooh, I know with the itching again, right? So welcome to Pep Talk Tuesday, and today's edition is the love edition. So before I get too much into other stuff, I just want to share a little story with you. So this is how I'm going to start today's talk. So I had the tremendous honor and good fortune of meeting a couple the other day, right? Lovely, lovely couple, and just completely unexpected, right? So sometimes people just fall in your path out of the blue, right? And with this particular couple, one of the things that's important to know is that right now he's dealing with a terminal condition. He has COPD. So for those of you who don't know what COPD is, it is a lung disease that is terminal. There's no cure for it. There's no reversing it. So it is something he is literally going to have to deal with until the day he dies. And typically it's very progressive. So it just gets worse as time goes on. So, and it's a lot like dealing with cancer. You know that it's eventually going to kill you sooner rather than later, unless you really aggressively manage it. And unlike cancer, cancer has a cure most of the time, right? So because of this, they're kind of in transition. So they've given up their house. They're not ready to commit to an apartment because they don't know where they're going to be. So they're basically sharing space and holding space with each other in a little room. Basically, it's like a miniature studio apartment. It's literally like living in a Hong Kong apartment. And if you haven't seen how small and Spartan a Hong Kong apartment is, go look it up on YouTube. It's insane, right? It's like living in a closet. So this is pretty much the extent of their physical world, is this one room that they're staying in with each other and working together. And they don't, obviously, as a result of this, they also don't have a lot of physical possessions. So it is the epitome of Spartan living. And the thing about it is, when you're in their presence, in this little teeny tiny, nearly naked room of nothing, not a lot to work with, one of the things that you realize is, once you kind of get over the shock of like, Jesus, like there's no space in here, the thing that becomes very, very apparent is the level of contentment that they have, in spite of not having a whole lot in terms of real estate and stuff, because they enjoy each other. They're content just to be in each other's company. That is such a remarkable thing, and I haven't seen that in such a long time, right? And it's a genuine, peaceful contentment. They don't need anything else. They've got each other. Like, literally, this is the definition of love. So they've been together for easily over 15 years, maybe 20. They've been together a long time. And they are very much in love with each other still. And they like each other. They like each other a lot. And they find a tremendous amount of peace and pleasure in each other's company. Now, for those of you who are, again, not familiar with COPD, it presents a lot of physical handicaps. So there's a lot of stuff you're just not going to be able to do. Which includes, taking short walks, without an oxygen tank, because your muscles consume oxygen when they're moving. And the problem with COPD is you're not getting adequate gas exchange, oxygen, carbon dioxide exchange. So you get out of breath very, very quickly with physical exertion. Even eating, just chewing food makes you tired, because the muscles used to chew food requires oxygen, right? So there's just a lot he's not physically able to do, and there's a lot of places he physically can't go. So he's very limited in terms of physical, interaction with the world around him. And yet they're fine. They're fine. They're so content and peaceful with each other. It's almost surreal, right? So the thing about it is they were a living reminder of what love is supposed to feel like. Love is supposed to feel like, no matter what's going on, as long as you have each other, we're good. We're good. So there's that. And I want you guys to hold that in your mind, because at the end of the day, this is really what we're all looking for. We're looking for our best friend. We're looking for that person that we enjoy spending time with, that allows us to feel a tremendous and deep sense of contentment and security and peace in their company, regardless of what else is going on or what we have or don't have. That's really what we're all looking for. And there are, unfortunately, only a lucky few of us that ever seem to find that, right? Because the rest of us all seem to get in our own way. Okay, so now with that said, we are also on the heels today of a significant royal wedding, certainly more significant than William and Kate, or even Diana and her husband, I forget, Charles, Diana and Charles. And the reason this is significant with Harry and Meghan is because they represent the face of a new generation. So it is an intercultural and an interracial and an interclass marriage. So literally it is a marriage between many different worlds, all at once. So that is a representation or a face of the new generation, and I'm so pleased to see it, and I wish them nothing but good luck. It's not going to be easy for sure, because she apparently is raising all sorts of ire and jealousy and spitefulness from the Neanderthals. But with all of that aside, time pushes on, progress and evolution occur whether we want to participate or not. So I really do hope for the best for them, because they symbolize really good things for the generations coming up with them and behind them. So with that, I was also listening to some of the other astrologers on YouTube that are talking about the royal wedding and the marriage charts and all sorts of stuff, because it's good to do your homework, see how other people see things, right? And I was very dismayed to hear at least one of the astrologers, I'm sure a couple of them, because Harry's got a Neptune transit going on. And I think I said something similar where Harry's a bit love struck right now. But not because of Neptune, for different reasons. So, with that said, it distressed me, because the thing about it is, one, typically when you hear astrologers and hack amateurs talk about Neptune, it's always, delusion, mental illness, drug addiction, blah, right? Like it's almost as if it hurts them to find a positive spin on Neptune. So they use a bunch of the cheap keywords. And the thing I want you guys to remember always is that you can have delusion, you can have mental illness, and you can have addiction, okay, with any of the other planets in different combinations. So laying this all at the feet of Neptune is pretty unfair and wrong and misleading. And the sign of a bad astrologer, or a hack amateur, so don't do it. So the thing about it, though, the thing that stressed me is this business about, it's not real love. Harry doesn't know what real love is. He's clearly having this fantasy love. And the thing that I would say, because we've all had these conversations about puppy love, right? Or all the relationships that failed before we found the person that we married, well, they weren't real love. This one's the real love. And I know we do that because we're trying to elevate and give honor to the person that we're with right now. But what we also do is we dishonor and dismiss all of the important relationships along the way. And the most important thing to know is that even your bad relationships up until this point, they were important relationships. Every relationship has to serve a purpose. Every relationship, even the bad ones. So if you had a relationship where you felt like you were both loving each other, okay, and for whatever reason the relationship couldn't continue because it served its purpose. Once a relationship has served its purpose, there's nowhere else to go with it. So you had a relationship, you loved each other madly, as best you could for where you were in your development at that time, and the relationship served its purpose and it came to its natural conclusion because there was nowhere further you could go with this, right? Its job was done. That doesn't mean you didn't love each other. It doesn't mean the love wasn't real. That love was very real. That love was very real for where you were in your development and your ability to love somebody and receive love at that time. So try not to dismiss, and poo-poo like all these other relationships because they weren't this fairy tale romance about your soulmate. And probably the most unfortunate thing we've ever sold to the public is this fantasy about soulmates, right? So until you find your soulmate, nothing is real love, which is nothing could be further from the truth. So soulmates are people that you have spiritual work to do with, and it's not necessarily that you're going to spend your entire life with them. Soulmates are often here to either save our life in critical moments or to share in some type of grief or loss with us because we're going through something. We need to bond at a specific level. There's just a whole lot going on that has nothing to do with these fairy tale romances about finding a prince living happily ever after. Okay, because even the real story about the real prince, marrying the common, unknown woman, little Cinderella story here. There is no living happily ever after, and this is not what this relationship is about. This relationship serves much bigger purposes than them being in love and producing children. I mean, that's all they see because they are participants in this, but ultimately that relationship in a much bigger picture sense serves a much larger purpose. Okay, so it won't be easy, and that doesn't necessarily make them soulmates. Okay, so If you feel love with someone, do not ever assume that it's not real love or it's not worthy love, because this is not the relationship that's going to carry you through to the rest of your life. This is a very important relationship. It has a purpose to serve. And once a relationship has served its purpose, then it will complete its mission and it will have been successful in however it plays out, depending on what its original purpose is. And at the end of the day, the love that we're looking for is the love of our best friend, like the couple that I just met a couple days ago, okay, who enjoy each other. They like each other a lot, okay? So obviously they love each other and they like each other, and they take tremendous pleasure in being in each other's company. There's pleasure and solace and comfort and peace, when they're together, spending time together, because literally all they need is each other. So in spite of not having anything else to speak of, what is it, barely a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of, they're good and they couldn't be better, and that's what we're all looking for. But until we get there, we've got a whole lot of other important relationships that we need to experience, and there are a whole lot of other loves that we're going to have that are just as real and just as important. So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater just because it doesn't have the, stamp of approval as a soulmate on top of it. Don't believe the hype. And again, when it comes to Neptune, your judgment may be a little clouded, you may be a little over optimistic, but it's not about delusion and drug addiction and fantasy land and whatever, and mental illness. That's the other one, mental illness. It's not like that at all. So, I know, kind of all over the place. It's been quite the week. We are in the midst of important change. So open your hearts. Remember that Leo eclipse we had at the beginning of the year. We're not quite done with it yet. We've got some more eclipses that are, have a lot to do with stuff like that. So keep your hearts open and your minds open. And remember, all love is important love. See ya.